And welcome back to the Bobby and Beardy Show. I'm Bobby.
I'm Beardy.
And we're here to talk about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, a film I saw a week ago and McBeardy saw yesterday. So let's see how bad my memory is. There are time codes below if you want to skip about, go straight to spoilers, skip spoilers, whatever. And as a reminder, we are on Spotify now if you want to listen to us there rather than seeing our handsome faces. Although, McBeardy, you look slightly different today. What's going on, sir?
Well, not unfortunately, that sounds terrible for where I am. I'm in Scotland, I'm in Glasgow, I'm here for work, and I figured we'd do the podcast whilst I'm up here. We don't want to miss a week, so I saw the film up here. I'm recording from a dark corner of my hotel room. But it's good, it's nice to be away. I've got some culture back for once, so can't complain.
I've also got some culture to share.
Oh yeah, where were you? You went somewhere too.
Well, I was also in Scotland, as previously mentioned on the podcast. We were both going to be in Scotland at the same time. Even the same city, it turned out at one point. But we didn't see each other.
Walk from each other.
Yeah, closer than normal. But still didn't want to see each other. So I was in Edinburgh on holiday with my lovely wife. And it was very nice. Mostly not rainy, or unlike the day you were in there, which was diabolical. My little highlight of culture is I snuck a knife into the Scottish Parliament. Well, I say that. It went off on their airport scanner style thing, and then they gave it back to me, going, "You're not meant to have a knife, but here's your knife." Just to clarify, it was a small travel cutlery set that I forgot was in my bag. So it's the bluntest thing in the world. I'm not a big super criminal or anything. Although, I went into the cafe where I had genuinely the worst coffee and cake of my life.
I don't know.
And there,
your life.
For sure.
Yeah.
Knives and forks everywhere. Far sharper than anything I took in. And also for my final bit of culture that I will reference is we went to the Surgeons Hall Museum and saw many penises in many jars. So,
as opposed to the normal few you see occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple around the house, obviously, as everybody knows. But any culture you want to specify other than?
No, like I said, I'm up here for work. So the first day I was up here, I was up at 5 a.m. doing a training session. It started snowing. It was nice, but it was not nice at 5 a.m. when I've had 2 hours sleep. We obviously went across to Edinburgh. We saw one of my other half's friends. It was very lovely. We had a little wander around the old town. We got very tired. We got back. We've, not going to lie, we've seen a bit of the city, but we've spent a lot of time eating snacks from the hotel room and playing video games. To be fair, like, obviously we went to the same city you were in. Then one of my friends from my old work happened to be up here watching, seeing a gig. So we went for a drink with them. Like, everyone seems to go where I'm going. I just draw people to me, I guess. I don't know what it is.
Oh, dear. Well, brilliant. Finally, some culture for us to talk about again. Fantastic. But that's enough culture. That's enough culture. We've got to talk about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Here's the rundown. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is a sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife and is a supernatural comedy film directed by Gil Kennan. Not Jason Reitman, who directed the previous reboot sequel thingy, Afterlife. Reitman and Kennan wrote the film, however, just like they did the previous one. It is the 5th film in the Ghostbusters franchise, but only the 4th one they care about because girls are yucky and horrible. Ooh, boo. I've never saw it. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know.
Okay. I can give you some context. I can give you context.
Get off my back. The film stars about 100 people, including Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace, Celeste O'Connor, and somebody called Logan, whose surname I've deleted by mistake. Apologies. Alongside Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and Will Atherton. Come on, Johnny, Patton Oswalt, and England's own James Acaster. Released 14th of March on a budget of $100 million dues, American, not Australian, on a box office so far of 71 million. So not the best, not the strongest.
Better than I thought it would be, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, probably better than it deserves. Afterlife had a budget of 75 million, just for reference, and made 204 million. So Frozen Empire has some catching up to do, and it's been out a little while. And Kung Fu Panda 4 came out yesterday here, and Godzilla Kong, There's an Evil Monkey That Isn't Kong came out today. So they're probably going to smash Ghostbusters a little bit.
I think
yeah.
I think Kung Fu Panda's obviously going to win this out a little bit because the marketing from Jack Black, some of the music that's already been leaked and stuff, it's doing the rounds. I keep listening to one of the songs on repeat because I'm a child. So it's, yeah, don't get me wrong, Ghostbusters was a film, but there are others. There are others out there that could be doing better.
It is certainly a film. But a film would normally have some kind of plot, McBeardy. What's it about?
Yeah. So this is very much a follow-on from Afterlife when Paul Rudd is trying to fit into the what the hell's his name?
Spangler family.
Thank you, Spangler family. They're doing a little bit of ghost busting. Busting makes them feel good, as far as I heard.
When he said that,
I'm sorry.
I wanted to.
I know it was awkward. It's very much trying to be the older films, but all the jokes seem a bit forced. It doesn't really feel as natural. It actually feels better when the original cast come in a little bit more, and then the jokes are a bit more free flowing. The general plot point is there's an artifact that they find that hosts the big bad. They accidentally unleash it, and then it's the backstory of what that is, how to stop it. They bring in extra characters and some comedic elements to it with the Fire Master, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But again, all of those parts were very funny. He's a very good actor, but it just seemed, please say a funny joke, do a funny joke, do a funny thing. Dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah, very much there for comedic relief, which wasn't very well.
I did like that they kept some of the 1980s special effects for what's his name, the Green Ghost.
Slimer.
Thank you. I think they pandered too heavily to some of the original films. Hauntings, obviously, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is back in many places, which again is just. That's what they did with the Silent Hill film. Just like, here's Pyramid Head. He's in every film now, which he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
This is very much the same.
Here's a reference you know.
I do.
Here's a thing you saw previously. Here's another thing.
Yeah.
Did you remember it? Here it is again.
And they did do that. They're spoon feeding you these little marshmallow men over and over again. And again, it's not a spoiler. Everyone's seen the trailers. I do like that the big bad creature design was not good. It again felt kind of 1980s-ish. Like, the design work could have been better. I went there with my other half. She's very scared of horrors, and this didn't even hit that register. So,
this isn't this isn't meant to be.
Look, I'm trying to find out how scary things she can handle.
It's but actually, I was going to bring this up because the trailer for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, kind of the original one that was in cinemas, which I saw many times because I go to see the cinema a lot. Believe it or not.
Surprising.
Kind of shock. It's trying to just set a spooky tone. You've got the ice coming in and people freezing to death, and the tear ducts are the last thing you see freezing over. And then, like a week before the film came out, they went, "Forget that banter. Here's a banter trailer instead. Just banter. Don't worry about it." I was like, "That's a bit weird that you've completely changed." And that's probably because the film doesn't do either very well. If I'm honest, it's not spooky and it's not very funny.
The preamble for the main plot point takes about 70% of the film, which bothers me quite consistently. Like the trailer showed a lot of the Frozen Empire stuff, and like it's a really interesting plot point, and they could have made that more of it. Like the fact that a frozen world or a frozen element is half an hour of the entire film at a push is not okay, in my opinion. Again, it's one of these, okay, they didn't show everything good in the trailer, but they didn't show anything good in the trailer. And again, I'm being harsh. This might actually be my first thumbs down. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a thumbs down from me. 100%. That's a spoiler for me. They had. I felt like the trailer gave it more potential than they actually did in the film. Where I thought they were going to be potentially busting ghosts, which makes Paul Rudd feel good. He tells me in the film to absolute silence in my cinema. By the way, when he says
was the same in ours.
Nothing. I thought maybe they were going to be doing some busting of ghosts in a frozen world where they, I thought they were going to do a bit of a horror element where they are, if they get too spooked, then they will. There's consequences, but no, that's ignored entirely.
They had an element of creepiness again with one of the ghosts that's in a study chamber thing, and he's kind of creepy faced. You can't really see him. He always gets out. It has a good scare factor to it, but they just do nothing with that character. Like
just in a box, though.
The only one they anything. Huh?
He's just in a box, isn't he? It's like there's a spooky guy over there. Well,
yeah, but they did the whole proton packs failing, and then he can get out, and then he doesn't. The only ones to get out is one that looks like a potato, and one of them just occupies things. Like they went purely with the comedy and like the easy to animate, which again I understand cost. Like the main big bad, he can't have cost a lot to make. He can't.
Yeah. So several problems with the film, as you might have figured out. But before I get into those, I'm going to do a few nice things. I do genuinely think McKenna Grace as Phoebe Spangler, who's kind of like the lead role character these days, I do think she's great in the film.
Yes.
Character-wise, dumb as a plank of wood, but never mind. Paul Rudd is as entertaining as ever. I genuinely think I could watch him carry a coffin or drown a baby goat, and I'd still find him very charming. He's a very charming man. Okay. I also enjoyed James Acaster because he's James Acaster. He was in it probably 4 times longer than I thought he was going to be. He's kind of a character. I thought it was going to be a quick
throwaway cameo.
Yeah. Walter Peck is back, the character played by Mr. Atherton. Forgot your first. William Atherton. He's the mayor now, and he's bringing so little energy to his performance. He's meant to hate the Ghostbusters. Does he? It feels like he can't be bothered to do anything. It's sad. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want it. You put a reference in there from the previous films, but it's not working. So you could have just had a new mayor who's a dick. It didn't have to be a reference to the old stuff. I mean, I know then he can have a little clash with the old guys who come back yet again. But whatever. The main problem with this film is there's just too many people. There's too many characters.
The thing is, they're quite big characters as well. Like, maybe not the characters themselves, but I mean, like, the actors are quite big people. Like, they fill the space. Yeah. So,
You've got all the old cast come back in for various lengths of time. Some hog the screen a bit more than others, I'd say, with certain library goose chases and things that go on. And then you've got, I don't know how, I can't really remember Ghostbusters Afterlives, how many kid characters there were, but too many of them have come over, all inexplicably in New York at the same time, doing...
one of them, they give a backstory.
Various things.
Space camp.
Yeah, he's meant to be in space camp, but he's hanging out in a shop on YouTube, whatever. The other, I can't remember the character's name, but she's interning at the secret there's a secret Ghostbusters thing. It's not a spoiler, really. But they're all friends, but no one knows they're in New York at the same time. Bad friends. They will just bump into each other randomly. So you've got all the characters from the old films, all the characters from the new films, and new characters. You've got the Firemaster, you've got James Acaster, several others who I can't remember and care not to. But really, the interesting thing about Ghostbusters Afterlife was that it was in a new location with new people doing newish things, kind of the same things, but that was good enough for it to feel new and okay, there's life in this franchise that has very little life in it. They're all back in New York. Here's some references. I found the film to be quite dull. To be honest, it feels like a cash grab. Afterlife felt like a passion project of the son of the original director, and it was kind of sold on that as well. And in this one, it's just like, here's more Ghostbusters. Do you like it?
It was the thing, like Afterlife was very much, obviously, the actor who played Spangler died, and it was kind of bringing that back in. It was quite nice, and obviously the little CGI effect of him nearing the end was quite nice. Like I say, it was a passion project. People who liked the originals wanted something after the one that we don't talk about. And this one, it had potential. The storyline could have been good. It needed tweaking. It needed rebalancing. It needed less happening. Like, I understand, again, we'll go through it in spoilers, but what event leads to the Frozen Empire getting out?
I want to talk about that.
Is an interesting way of doing it, but it was a lot of it. It was quite long, and it seemed like, again, forced in there rather than it making sense. It doesn't fit Phoebe's character for what happened.
Yeah, it also feels very much like the Age of Ultron, from the Marvel movie Age of Ultron. The Age of Ultron lasts about 12 minutes in the film, and then they fix the problem. This Frozen Empire.
Yeah.
It's not there. It's just not there.
Yeah. No.
Also, for a film called Ghostbusters, I'm pretty sure they only catch or bust 2 ghosts the entire time. There's one at the start in a street chase.
Yes.
With a flying thing, and then spoilers, the baddie. I don't remember anyone else.
True.
As you mentioned, Slimer's there. He doesn't get busted.
Yeah.
But you know,
but Slimer's fine.
The only reason he's there is to give Finn Wolfhard something to do. Did his character need to be in the film? Did his character need to be in the film? No, he could have been at college. Because he's 18 now. He could have been off gallivanting.
True. Yeah, no, his storyline doesn't really matter other than it brings in one of the other kids, the one doing the interning. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They could have easily. I think it's one of those. He's a popular actor at the moment, so you put him in, it'll draw some people. And I don't like when companies do that.
Yeah. I'm almost done spoiler free before I want to go on a rant about stupid things. What I will say is the opening flashback is set early 20th century, I think. The Manhattan Adventurers Guild.
1904.
The ghost is released, and there's some firemen going in and witnessing the chaos that this ghost has done. That looked far more interesting as a movie than anything else I witnessed. That sounds great. Give me a early 20th, late 19th century ghost hunting thing. It sounds very original Mummy. Could be a comedy still.
Yes.
Could be fun. Could be a little bit spooky. But by the Mummy, I mean the good one, not the Tom Cruise one, just to clarify in case anyone thinks I'm a lunatic.
Love Tom Cruise.
I do love Tom Cruise.
No,
but
I completely agree. If they did the original thing from 5,000 years ago when the big bad is originally around, and then the re-release in 1900s, those are two films I would watch.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll go through it more in spoilers when we can talk about what actually happened. But those 2 films I would watch.
That could be the same. That could be the same film. You could have the way old stuff, backstory, 19th century stuff.
Yep.
How do we do it? Anyway, thumbs down. I didn't.
Yeah, it's a thumbs down for me as well. I did
not like this film. But actually, is it a shame? Because to be honest with you, Ghostbusters is one of those franchises that just kind of exists for me at its best.
No, 1 and 2 are fantastic. Even though they've dated quite badly, I still love them. They're a really good watch. They fit into this category of Sunday afternoon films when you're a bit tired. Maybe it's raining outside. You don't know what to watch. Something with nostalgia, like The Goonies, fits into this category for me.
Yeah.
The Page Master. They're not the top tier films I've ever seen, but I really enjoy them. They give me good nostalgia, and Ghostbusters really ticks that box for me.
Well, it sounds like you're more of a fan than I am, but we both hated this one, so that's something we can definitely agree on. Spoilers! Beardy, do you want to kick us off with some spoilers?
So yeah, like I say, with the big spoiler part that kind of bothered me, 2 of them actually, the plot point that gets the Frozen Empire released from Garaka, they need to use a human voice to say a chant. So there's a random ghost that is being blackmailed, bullied by the big bad, to build a relationship with Phoebe Spangler in this, who kind of temporarily kills herself to be a spirit with her for a little bit, in a non-child life, suicide threatening way. This is a science project, and it will work for 2 minutes, and I'll be fine.
They use a machine she uses a machine which they normally use to extract ghosts that are hiding in, I don't know, like a watch or something. They suck the ghost out and like separate them, and she uses the machine to suck her soul out of her own body for 2 minutes. Which
2 minutes.
Every other time you see that machine being used, by the way, it's just automatic. It separates them, and then it gets like the ghost gets evaporated, like eviscerated, or probably put in ghost jail. But it looks so.
So, two things on this. Firstly, the first time you see this machine being used, the shameless self-promoting that I both love and hate from Sony. It's one of our Discman products from years back that is haunted and kind of like snapping around. So yeah, shameless self-promoting, but I enjoy that sometimes. This whole thing, like the relationship between Phoebe and this ghost, I can't remember.
Her name's Melody. I wrote it down.
Melody, yes, it is from the diamond situation. It seemed, again, to me, I might be misinterpreting this, but very, again, forced, but weirdly romanticized rather than like we're friends.
Yeah, this is the note I have.
Yeah.
Phoebe, who is 15, which is one of the main plot points, is she's kicked off the Ghostbusters because she's too young. We'll come back to that. Is seduced / befriended because they they tiptoe around it, but it very much feels like a romantic subplot.
Yes.
But not enough so that people can get angry about it being a woke film or whatever. So 15-year-old is seduced by a 16-year-old ghost who's been dead for 100 or so years. Which is creepy. I don't like that, because you may have died at 16, but you've still been around for 100 years. You don't only mature. You don't mature exactly on your birthday. It's not like a clock ticking over the year and just suddenly you're a more mature person. No, you've had 100 years of existing and well, life experience for a ghost. It's creepy. It's Twilight all over again, and I do not care for it.
Yeah.
Can I continue my rant about this?
You can do a rant. Yeah, I'll carry on. I'll jump off your energy.
So, as mentioned, Melody is being blackmailed by the big bad because she believes that's the only way she can stop being a ghost, because she's essentially looking for closure. Melody successfully does nothing, but somehow gets Phoebe to separate her soul, as we previously mentioned. They have like a conversation about how it would be nice to touch, romantically or not. We'll leave it to you, viewer. So that the bad guy can possess her, make her speak words to release him from his ball of prison. But literally nothing Melody does leads Phoebe to this moment. And yet,
not at all. No.
It all works out for the bad guys, because it's treated as a big success and a big betrayal. And yeah, Melody was working for the bad guy, and she didn't want to do it. But it's like, what was the game? What was the game plan? How did you, as the baddies, expect to get to that point? Like, you weren't pushing her, you weren't suggesting things. It just happened, and then there was a betrayal. Nonsense.
No, you're bang on. Like I say, it was a very sort of crowbarred in their plot line, and even when the betrayal happens and Phoebe goes down the route of, well, you missed the chance to see your family, mine are still alive upstairs. There's no actual like guilt put into it. It's very thrown away comment of like, you did a bad thing, bye now.
Yeah. Well, when the bad guy is caught, what was his name? Groku?
Gracker.
Whatever, I don't care. When he's finally caught in the big trap, which is the trap in the fire station that previously couldn't hold any ghosts, and split in half, and there was a throwaway line about how they chose the fire station for a reason, because it's like a really important place for ghosts or something. I can't remember it.
Ooh.
It's a really
misremembering that slightly.
Yeah, and there was just a firehouse. They just bought it. Don't make it more important than it needs to be. Anyway.
No. So what they're saying is the firehouse wasn't important to begin with, but because of all the ghosts that are still there, the original character went back and bought it, leased it out, made sure it was still there because it now is such a hub and it's important.
I
That's
see.
what the line was.
Oh, okay. I interpreted
Again, not saying it was a good
were,
justification and it's a good film. I'm just saying.
I interpreted it as more of
right.
they were trying to make it sound like they had predetermined this was the most important place in the New York area.
From my understanding, it's only because of what they've been doing. Like there was dozens, hundreds, whatever, of ghosts there. It was now such a hub for this psychic energy and whatever they call it in the film.
Also, does this mean they've been busting ghosts since the 80s? Because Afterlife made it sound like no one has been busting ghosts since the 80s. But now the thing's...
Well, we never know how many they did bust in the 80s because it was very popular. It was famous for a while, wasn't it? Like, True. In their little universe. It was very big. People did call Ghostbusters. So it doesn't actually say.
So
it does make me feel good.
Anyway, back to my other rant.
Yes.
Big bad guy caught in the broken trap that heals itself so he can be sucked off into it.
Phrasing.
Melody, who's standing next to the big bad ghost at this point, having betrayed him so that she doesn't get sucked in to the trap. Should have been, quite honestly. But she gets a pass from the trap, apparently. The trap knows that this ghost has got closure now and is allowed to have her final sentence, farewell, half, not apology. And then she can evaporate off into the next realm or whatever.
Yeah.
Makes you think, though, how many ghosts have they trapped in that ghost prison over the years that just need a bit of closure? Yeah. Arseholes. They're awful people.
Well, yeah. Again, this is kind of a little comment when Phoebe invites Melody into the fire station the first time. It's like, oh, you're inviting me in to your ghost busting headquarters.
Yeah,
seems a bit insensitive, basically. I liked that. That was pretty good. There were parts of it that were funny.
Listen, yeah, there are a few jokes that work, and there are a few entertaining things, but as a whole, it's not a very good film. And the reason is the main plot point. The main plot point is that Phoebe Spangler is benched from the ghostbusting team due to her age. She's 15, as I mentioned, because that awful, horrible mayor, Walter Peck, doesn't want a 15-year-old hanging out of a moving vehicle firing lasers, protons, in New York. Unelectable. How is he's such a fiend?
Impeach him.
However... So while she's off sulking big time, half being seduced by a ghost, maybe, befriended, we'll leave it to you, viewer, we meet one of her friends, one of the many characters, is currently interning over the summer at the other secret Ghostbusters lab with James Acaster, Britain's own. And at no point in time does she or anybody else say, hey, I'm not allowed to be on the team ghostbusting, like out in the streets. Could I also intern here with my school friend and Britain's own James Acaster? No.
Yeah, no, very
because
good
that
point.
would solve all of the problems of the film, because she ends up getting befriend seduced by this ghost because she feels lonely and ignored by everybody. Stupid. It's stupid.
No. Honestly, it sounds bad. I didn't even consider that, but yeah, it actually fits her character better because she's more of a scientific background, a research background. It actually fits better than the in the field stuff. She really cares more about the in the field stuff because of her heritage and her family. And obviously, she has that line where she says to her mother, like, "If you weren't a Spangler, you'd be answering the phones." Like, it's a weird little entitlement thing. But the research actually fits her character much, much better.
Yeah, but none of them say it. None of them mention it. And then, the film happens as a result, essentially, because they're all thick.
Just about.
My last note I want to say is about the Fire Master. So, and I know you wanted to say something, so
yeah,
lead the way.
So again, actor they use, I'm going to butcher his name. I'm so sorry. Kumail Nanjiani.
That's how I'd say it.
Okay, cool. Great actor. Honestly, very, very funny. He's very good at what he does. He plays the character they've put him in well. Like, it is an awkward joke role. He has the comedy element to it.
Yeah, he kind of plays the character he plays in quite a lot of films.
Yes, yeah, and like I say, he does it well. It doesn't really feel belonging. There is basically this character, it harks back to Garaka's first time where they seal him with fire and brass. Yeah, brass. And he's the last of the Fire Masters, so he's needed again. Whereas he's very much a letdown to his family. He didn't know anything about this. And they do, again, make some little nice jokes about the first time he moves some fire, and they overplay the importance of a little wobble in the flame, and it's quite funny. Like, I enjoyed that. But, yeah, like, his change from being useless and not knowing what to do to suddenly saving the world effectively. Like, they don't explain, is it just like a fight or flight thing? It just happens? Nope, we just got no idea.
He just needs to. He needs to know how to do it, doesn't he?
The comedy elements where he's like sliding down the fire pole, I did enjoy that because it was stupid. Same with the whole part about his. Oh god, I'm going just for clickbait. His grandma's sex dungeon. It was quite funny. It was good. But again, the fact that they made such an important role for this storyline, such a weird extra bit.
Yeah.
It
feels
just
really
felt weird. There was too much going on.
And it's just yet another thing happening.
Yeah.
I think he'd have been far better just being the guy who sells some trinkets, including the ball with the big bad in it, and just being not like kind of just he could have been in the film 10 minutes max, and it would have been fine. I mean, I know you gotta, it makes sense. You got a fire master who combats the big ice demon who breathes ice to varying levels of frozenness, but I don't know. It wasn't executed well at all. He's like, within a minute, he's going from a flickering a tiny candle like this much to saving the universe, like you say. And it's just like, and then everyone celebrates outside, even though they couldn't see nothing inside. They don't know what happened. Yep. They all just burst out of New York going, lads. And then the mayor turns up. Someone calls him
sorry.
No, go for it.
There you go. Because obviously the Ghostbusters have been hated, and the mayor keeps spinning this stuff about it, and like people don't need them anymore. And then, it's just like everyone forgets about all the bad stuff, and it's all okay, and party and interviews, and it just feels wrong.
And also, they caused all the problems. They're the ones who released the baddies by faffing around with stuff. So
I guess in spoilers as well, what did you think? Like, obviously the post-credit scene or mid-credit scene, but you usually miss them.
Oh, Beardy, I didn't stick around to watch that after a film I didn't enjoy.
It was definitely worth it. It definitely wasn't some little marshmallow men stealing a Stay Puft lorry whilst the driver got out to get some sweets from a vending machine. They just drive off the lorry. That's literally all that happened.
Are you joking me? That's it. They minions. No, that's it. They've minions the marshmallow men, basically.
Basically, yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, let's wrap it up there, unless you've got anything else to rant about. I feel like I've worked myself up into quite a mood.
Yeah. I need to go shower after this and watch the film off.
Watch the film off. All right, well, thank you so much for watching or listening if you're on Spotify. And we will be back soon with another film, probably Godzilla. And hopefully we'll like that one more. But maybe not, because I'm going to be honest with you, they're not very good films. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye-bye.